Welcome back to Amazing Chest. I'm on a quest to beat Elden Ring, playing as every single boss, and if that sounds like fun to you, then go ahead and subscribe because YouTube doesn't always recommend. The rules of this challenge are simple. I need to beat the game, but I can only play as Heolstor from Nightreign. If I die, then I'll break free into his next phase, unlocking new attacks and getting stronger until I reach his final form. The first boss on our list was, unfortunately, Morgott. This guy can never catch a break. We start off in his first phase, the Night aspect, where he's weak and bound by chains. He was defeated before the game even started, and they turned his weapons against him. Just like in his boss fight, the weaker we get, the stronger we'll become. And now that we've defeated Morgott, the plan was simple. We need to beat the Elden Beast, complete Ranni's questline, and defeat Malenia. We're doing Ranni's quest because it takes us to the one place in the lands between where the power of Night is strongest, and that's where the Primordial Night Lord can unlock his full power. Heolstor may have lost in the past, but by the end of this video, we're gonna try to take down a god while playing as the knight who cursed the world. Enjoy. The Night aspect actually has less health than Godric, which was really surprising. We open with a Howling Charge, and our poise lets us tank the Stormcaller Wind. Our greatsword hits hard, and after a few swings, Godric was already in phase 2. We dodged his Dragon Breath, landed a few more hits, and the fight was over just as soon as it began. Heolstor has a solid chance of completing this run because we imported him exactly as he is in Nightreign. He's got teleports for dodging, a greatsword that hits hard, and passive poise which lets him tank through attacks. His health pool isn't great, but his damage makes up for it, and if we can unlock his final form by completing Ranni's questline, we'll get access to elements like fire, lightning, poison, and frost. That should give us everything we need to beat the game, but Malenia is still Malenia. For now, we're on our way to Caelid. Beating Radahn opens up the path to Nokron, which is where Ranni's questline really starts, so the sooner we take him out, the sooner we can unlock Heolstor's full power. As we made our way through Caelid, I couldn't help but notice how terrible the environment was, walking past rot puddles and dead trees everywhere. While it might be too late for Caelid, it's not too late to save our environment, which brings me to this video's partner. The environment could always use some extra love, and let's be honest, we all spend way too much time online anyway. So if you're gonna be browsing, you might as well make it count. Ecosia is a search engine that takes all of their ad profits and puts them directly into climate projects and reforestation. They've already planted over 240 million trees across 35 countries, and they work with local communities to make sure those trees actually stay alive long after they've been planted. They even fund firefighting efforts. The company runs on their own solar energy and publishes their financial reports every single month, so you know exactly where their money is going. No shady corporate stuff, just trees. And the best part is Ecosia works just like any other browser, so you won't even notice a difference except for the fact that you have better privacy. Use my link in the description to download Ecosia and start planting trees today, and thanks again to Ecosia for sponsoring this video. Radahn's arrows didn't mean a thing when we could just teleport right through them. We got close, landed a hit, and teleported behind him. Then he caught us with a swing for 1,000 damage. We traded a few more hits and we were both at half health. He flew up for his phase 2 meteor and we barely got out of the way. We were just one hit away from death when we teleported past his next attack and hit him from behind. That broke his stance and Radahn went down. That fight was way too close for this early in the run. Now that we had 2 great runes, we can make our way into the capital, but first we had to beat the Sentinel who was guarding the gates. The Radahn fight showed us that we take way more damage than expected, and if base game Radahn was hitting us that hard, then surviving the capital was going to be a nightmare. This fight will be good practice for our teleport timings, but if we get stance broken, then it's probably over. We slipped past the Tree Sentinel duo and made it through the capital outskirts. It was raining outside, which was bad because the Sentinel's lightning attacks would hit even harder. We got past the Golem Archers and then we made it to the gate. We opened with a jump attack and that got him down to 70%. Then we got unlucky. Our combo canceled his recovery and then he hit us with 2 fireballs back to back. We were on our last legs. His first attack in phase 2 missed, but then our teleport didn't come out in time, and just like that, we had our first death of the run. After refusing to die, we broke free from our chains and went back for round 2. Phase 2 gave us more health, more damage, and a brand new projectile. We did pick up a 20% weakness to lightning though, so the Sentinel was even scarier than before, but we tanked through his attacks and took him down anyway. The gates to the capital were finally open. We made it into Lanedale, but at the cost of our first phase. The Night aspect carried us through 2 entire great runes and almost got us into the capital. Now phase 2 was going to have to carry us through the rest. quest. Golden Godfrey was the first boss standing between us and the Elden Throne. If we try to trade with him, then we're gonna get folded. But Heolstor is faster now and can teleport between attacks without the long recovery times. We tested our new moves on the Herbgrace avatar and climbed up the roots. Our first attack landed clean and Godfrey's swing went right past us. Then the camera phased through the wall and threw us off for a second. Godfrey jumped over our greatsword and tagged us before we could teleport. He landed a howling charge that staggered him and got off a full combo. From there, we had enough of a lead to just tank the rest of his hits, and after a few more swings, Godfrey was done. Morgott was up next. He's pretty squishy by Elden Ring standards, but then again, so were we. Our holy weakness meant we needed to avoid his sacred weapons, but that was much easier said than done. Morgott only had 80 poise though, so the plan was to stay aggressive and try to stun lock him. We opened with a howling charge and hit him twice while his attack missed. He hit us with a holy hammer for over 1500 damage. We kept the pressure up though and broke his stance before he could pull off his holy swords. Then we threw out the Abyss Call and the projectile started chasing him down. That broke his stance again, but then he caught us with another hammer. We were hanging on by a thread, but one last swing of his greatsword and the Omen King was finally beaten. Not gonna lie, this challenge was a lot harder than I expected. I thought Heolstor's early phases would have a much easier time since he is the final boss of Nightreign's main game, but his stats are pretty low because Nightfarers don't deal as much damage as Tarnished players do. Phase 1 had less health than Godric, and Phase 2 barely had more health than Morgott. On top of that, we had weaknesses to Holy and Scarlet Rot, and we get stance broken easily too. His damage was solid and the teleports helped a lot, but we were basically a glass cannon. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but the Fire Giant was up next, and there was no way we were gonna beat him with what we had. So before we enter the mountaintops, we made our way to Caria Manor, and what we unlock at the end of this changes everything. To start Ranni's questline, we had to get through Caria Manor. Royal Knight Loretta was waiting for us at the end. She does mostly magic damage, which we don't resist, but we're not weak to either, so as long as we stayed aggressive, then this fight should be ours. We cleared out the finger creepers and wolves on the way in, and the Abyss Call wiped out the carrying guards on the staircase. When the fight started, we interrupted her opener before she could buff and landed a howling charge that staggered her. Then we proceeded to miss the entire combo while she just stood there. It didn't really matter though. We had the damage to win anyway, and after a few more hits, Loretta was down. Ranni's rise was just ahead. We talked to Ranni and she pointed us toward Nokron, an ancient underground city. Since we've already beaten Radahn, the path was already open. The Mimic tier only spawned a default player enemy, so that fight was completely free, and we took a second to enjoy the view. The underground sky was gorgeous, and Heolstor seemed right at home. We grabbed the Fingerslayer blade for Ranni, warped to Ainsel River, and picked up a miniature version of her for later. Look, it's only weird if you make it weird. The Baleful Shadow tried to stop us, but our charge knocked him down, and the Abyss Call broke his stance while he tried to heal. He didn't last long after that. Now Astel was the only thing standing between us and the Moonlight Plateau. Fortunately, his attacks are slow, and our teleports made dodging easy. We got in close, landed a full combo, and eventually staggered him. He teleported away and clipped us for 2500 damage, but we dodged the rest of attacks and went back in. One more combo, and Astel was done. With Astel down, we finally had access to Moonlight Plateau. This is where the power of night is strongest, but before we can enter the cathedral, we had to prove we were worthy. Glintstone Dragon Adula was guarding the entrance. She is the strongest magic dragon in Elden Ring with 11,000 health and a giant frost blade. We accidentally took out some sheep on the way in and then started the fight. Our opening charge didn't do much since she resists magic, but we dodged her flying attack and hit her with an uppercut that staggered her. We attacked her while she was down and got her to half health, and she went for her Moonblade attack and missed. We landed a lucky hit on her head and broke her stance again. Adula went down and the cathedral was ours. We stepped inside and Heolstor's power was fully restored. With our full power unlocked, we can now buff ourselves with any element we wanted. We teleported through the Forbidden Lands, beat up Borealis, and made our way to the Flame Peak. The Fire Giant has 60,000 health, but he's slow and our teleports made dodging easy. The only thing we had to look out for was his Firestorm and his rolls. He opened with a Snow Wave and we shrugged it off. His jump attack gave us a clear shot at his ankle and we started chopping it down. We staggered him, baited his orb, and broke his stance again. By this point, he was already in phase 2. When he went for his Meteor Rain, we answered with a Sky Rupture, and the Fire Giant is actually weak to lightning, so this was the best element we could choose. The nuke alone did over 2,000 and every sword swing spawned earthquakes. We kept staggering him over and over and he couldn't do a thing. The Fire Giant went down and then we burned the Earth Tree. After one of the most one-sided Fire Giant fights we've ever ever had in this series, we made our way into Farum Azula. The Godskin Duo was next, and they need no introduction. Our damage was insane in this fight. A single combo did 9,000 to the Noble, and it staggered him. We saw his phase transition coming, and it hit him with the Moonlight Waves before he could start rolling. The Apostle got staggered out of his own transition right after, and a few seconds later, we just needed one more Godskin to win the fight. The Apostle respawned and immediately called for backup, which was kinda sad. Regardless, another punching bag wasn't gonna save him, and the Godskin Duo got destroyed. Up next was Maliketh, and he was the true test of the run. This guy has killed multiple bosses in the past, so we had to be careful. His first phase is the Clergyman, which only does physical damage, so he wasn't a big deal at all. Phase 2 is where it gets scary. Not only does he have Destined Death, but his blade also does holy damage, which we're obviously weak to. Just one clean hit would take half of our health or even more. We tested our strength on the Sentinel outside and completely destroyed him. We've come a long way since we first died outside the gates of Lanedale. We stuck with lightning since Maliketh doesn't resist it. The Clergyman dropped fast and we were already in phase 2. We mistimed a teleport and ate an explosion for 2700. Our max HP got cut, and now he could one-shot us. We went all out and broke his poise, getting him down to 30%. Dodged his projectiles, and a lucky earthquake staggered him again. He jumped on his blade, and we backed off to bait the Destined Death. His swing caught us on the way out, and our health got dangerously low. We took to the sky, and both of us were one hit away from death. We dodged each other back and forth, and one more sky rupture, and Maliketh was finished. Gideon. When this fight started, we danced around him with combos and staggered him early. The frostbite kicked in immediately after. He caught us with an earthquake, and we tried to teleport through his roar, but it covers the whole arena, so that didn't really work. We broke his poise again and pushed him into phase 2. Horlu tried to grab us, which obviously doesn't work on bosses. We took to the sky and switched the poison to send a message. He went for an earthquake, but the poison was already ticking. A few seconds later, and Horlu's time was up. Only one more boss to complete the main game. Radahn does mostly holy damage, so all of his attacks were gonna hurt. We weaved through his attacks and landed combo after combo. We broke his stance and threw out the Abyss Call. He hit us with a phase 2 slam, but our projectiles made up for it. That's when Radahn parried our Howling Charge. His teleports come with holy explosions, and our health started dropping fast. We got the poison off and dodged his triple slam. Then we went for a Sky Rupture and got punished for it. The third slam hit us for over 2,000 damage. He hit us again while we were still in the air, then a holy stake caught our landing. We came back with fire this time since Radahn is weak to it. Within 20 seconds, he was already in phase 2. We dodged his transition slam and went in with a Howling Charge. We took heavy damage, but it did stagger him. We played it safe, dodged his triple slams, and barely avoided an attack that would have ended it all. One more hit, and it was on to the Elden Beast. The Elden Beast resists everything equally and is completely immune to status effects, so our buffs didn't really help us here. We stuck with fire as a result and focused on dodging. Our teleports kept us alive and getting behind it was easy. We staggered it with the Abyss Call and got another one right after. Our poise damage was absolutely insane. We teleported through the Golden Needles and lost track of it after the rings. We answered with a Sky Attack, and after a few more swings, the Elden Beast collapsed and the main game was complete. The main game was done and we only had one goal left. Malenia was going to be a problem, but I did have a plan, and I'll explain what that is when we get to the Haligtree. For now, we needed both halves of the Secret Medallion. The first half was at Castle Sol, and Commander Niall was guarding it. The Banished Knights on the way in were weak to lightning, so they didn't last long. Niall tried to do the same to us, but we just teleported around him. He only has 90 poise, so we kept breaking his stance over and over again. He did get a few hits in, but he just couldn't keep up. Less than 2 minutes later, Niall was out and the first half of the medallion was ours. We grabbed the second half from Albus in the Albanar village, and just like that, the path to the Haligtree was open. We solved the puzzle in Ordina and made our way through the Haligtree where Loretta was waiting for us at the end. We opened with the Abyss Call and it hit her twice, but the damage was low and the animation took way too long. We went for a Howling Charge instead and she punished us for it. A Moonlight attack stunned her and we kept on swinging. We didn't let up, and after a few more hits that was it, and only Malenia remained. The plan for the Rock Goddess was simple. Malenia's arena has water everywhere, so lightning was definitely the move, and it was time to see if it could work. We buffed up with lightning and walked into her arena. The fight started, and our earthquakes knocked Malenia down immediately. The damage was good, but then she got her hyper armor and stopped flinching entirely. We landed a Moonlight Slam, which stunned her, and then she went for a Waterfowl. We teleported away, dodged the third wave in the air, then switched over to Frost. She went for another Waterfowl, and we dodged it the same way. That's when we noticed something. Our Moonlight Slam was so fast that it hit her before she could even react. Every time we used it, she got knocked down. This was our answer. From there, we just kept slamming and she couldn't get anything going. One last attack, and the Blade of Miquella finally knew defeat. Heolstor the Night Lord had brought night to the lands between. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then like the video and make sure you subscribe because YouTube doesn't always recommend.
Bye-bye.